Welcome to our 15th episode of the DMV Autocross Podcast. I'm Danny Kao.
And I'm Atta Tavesh. Thank you for joining us on our episode number 14. I just heard the news that this is the hottest summer on record in the DMV area. Are you hiding indoors from the heat?
Nah, I'm pretty stupid and was out all weekend, but I'm definitely paying the price. Hopefully everybody's not as dumb as I am and keep hydrating and wear light clothing if you have to be out in the sun. And let's move on with what's up in the DMV Autocross.
This Saturday is Mercedes Club event number 5 at the Washington Circuit at Summit Point. When Mercedes builds a course, especially on Washington Circuit, it always is promising to be a fast and fun course. Look for Mr. and Mrs. Santana tearing it up in their 1990 Austin Mini, John Heflin with his 93 Mercedes 190E, and Mike Brown will show up with the largest wang in the world on his Miata. It's going to promise to be awesome.
Okay, so at exactly the same hour, Get Fast Track Cross is also running on Shenandoah. Somehow I registered for both, and I have to beg Mr. Legore and Mr. Felton to let me do the autocross track cross double. Our zoologist, Alan, told me to use my autocross media credential, and this is in the interest of public information reporting, and I hope that works.
On Sunday, WDCR SCCA is hosting the autocross event number 3 at Waldorf. We see PCA regulars like Fast Guy David Critcher, John Clay, and Damon Loney, and also BMW Club Christopher Moody in attendance, which is exactly what we love to see. Watch Alan and Kate going nuclear option by upgrading from Bruce the NC to Not Sunny the ND. We also heard that Glenn Lowe is going all out on his XB race car prep, and Stuart Miller sent his XB to Greg Jones for some top secret work. And of course, Mike Brown with the world's largest wang is going to be there. I can't wait.
So, Ada, are you mentioning Mike Brown's big wang a few times now? You know, is that wang envy?
No comment. Can we just go move on?
All right. The following Saturday, PCA Potomac is holding their event number 4 on the Washington Circuit at Summit Point. The breakfast and lunch accommodations are still ranked first in the Michelin reviews. There are still a few spots available, so register soon before they all disappear.
On the following Sunday, PCA Chesapeake is also holding their Autocross number 4 event at Prince George's Stadium. The event is full. We may see Mike Tavner making a return to Autocross with his new 911 GTS. But we will have Mohit, Critcher, Huffman, and Vankovich to keep him honest. Danny?
After 4 consecutive weekends of stupid hot weather, we're officially in the dog days of summer. I have no idea why it's called the dog days of summer, but I know our fearless weatherman will tell us what that means. So let's welcome our own zoologist, Alan Claffey.
He's a meteorologist.
Alan is an animal.
Hi, Danny. Hi, Ada. It's Alan at the podcast studio as opposed to the weather terrace at Parsimonious Racing HQ. Thank you, Danny. Not at all a distraction. We are here to do the weather, and as Danny mentioned, it has been stupid hot, and I mean, yeah, dog hot. I'm not sure what that means. We're going to roll with it anyway. We are looking forward, though, not backwards. So we have here in front of us the weather for the next 2 weeks of DMV Autocross. We're going to start out July 20th, Saturday. Mach 5 Track Cross is running at Summit, as well as the Mercedes Club, and it's going to be beautiful. 80 degrees. That's the only word I have to describe it, is beautiful. So that's good. The next day, WDCR running in Waldorf, it is going to be 90. It's calling for occasional rain and a thunderstorm. Remember, we've mentioned occasional rain and thunderstorm is kind of a fact of life here in the DMV, especially this time of year. So be prepared for it. What is going on over there? Trying to run a professional podcast here.
Providing the actual visuals.
I see. Those are the temperature numbers. We've lost any pretense of professionality here. We're looking forward to the next weekend, Saturday, July 27th, PCA Potomac running at the Washington Circuit at Summit, 91 degrees, humid with a little rain. Sunday, July 28th, PCA Chesapeake, yes, 91. Thank you, Danny. PCA Chesapeake running at Bowie, I should have told you what the forecast was beforehand so you could be prepared. It's going to be 93 degrees, hot and humid. Now we wait for Danny to produce a 9 and a 3. 94, close enough. All right. So hot, humid, thank you. So to recap, Summit Point on the 20th is going to be gorgeous. WDCR Waldorf on the 21st. There's going to be some rain. Deal with it. And I don't see a lot of rain for the following weekend at both the Washington Circuit for PCA Potomac and Bowie for PCA Chesapeake. So get out there, have fun with your cars. I'm going to send it back I can't send it back to the studio because I'm in the studio. Either way, I'm going to send it back to Danny and Ada. So enjoy.
Thank you, Alan. We went through a couple of light autocross weekends, which was probably not a bad thing because of the brutal summer weather. I suffered heat problems again and had to cancel July 7th BMSC event at Petersburg, Virginia. But I was dumb enough to be at Summit Point for the 3-day weekend last week. And apparently I wasn't the only one. Many brave souls also attended WDCR Autocross School in the 100-degree weather. Then even more DMV folks went to Bristol, Virginia for the SCCA Summer Nationals to deal with 90 degrees and 90% humidity for 5 solid days. Here's a summary of what's up the last 2 weeks.
Chesapeake PCA event number 3 was also hot on July 6th. Mr. GT3 himself, David Critcher, put on a total butt-whooping clinic and won the event by over 4 seconds. The top 10 results are Dave Critcher, Danny Kao, Howard Lykin, Matt Huffman, Damon Lowney, Greg Hartke, Dan Ruddick, Mark Hubley, Jordan Vu, and Michael Press.
No, David's like an NBA basketball player against a bunch of kindergarten kids.
Yeah, he's putting up 60 a game.
I mean, I don't know how he does it, but that was amazing. Okay, so last Saturday and Sunday was the WDCR Level 1 and Level 2 Autocross School. The temperature were over 100 degrees and it was just nasty. 40-plus students and 10 event staffs braved conditions and had successful events. We want to make a special note. The fastest person of the weekend running the school course was Lisa Garfield, and that's no surprise because she's the only SCCA national champion out of the rest of the 50 people in attendance. I hope the students learn a lot, and kudos for them being troopers working on the course.
Yep. I actually stopped by Danny for a good 15, 20 minutes. It was fantastic. Runs like a well-oiled machine. Everyone was having a great time. I just stuck my head in to say hi, but yeah, it was a fantastic school.
Yeah. It was hot, but everybody stuck it out, and that was great. I hope they learned a lot.
Oh, yeah. Brandywine's Motor Club event on July 13th was canceled due to a rain forecast. It turned out Mother Nature decided no rain, but 100-degree temperature instead. As you know, it was crazy. So the event has been rescheduled. Everyone who was registered for the event will be automatically rolled over to the next event on Saturday, August 10th. No action is needed if you want to stay registered for August 10th. If you are not able to make the new date, please let Liz Wilford know, or just cancel your registration on Motorsports Reg. BMC will issue you a credit for a future event good through the end of the year. Those on the wait list will also retain their spot, and they will fill any cancellations from the existing wait list. If registration is below 100 after cancellations, BMC will reopen registration after the current wait list is satisfied. BMC will also use October 12th makeup date for the number 4 event. Look for the registration available soon on Motorsports Reg.
All right. Thank you, Ada, and thank you, Liz, for providing that information.
Yep.
Okay. So back by popular demand,
everyone
our on-course correspondent, Greg Pohl, will once again bring us a bonus report of the SCCA Summer Nationals at Bristol, Virginia. 4 days of hot competition, which includes a 2-day ProSolo and a 2-day tour. Many DMV autocrossers did well at the events. It almost made it to the finals of the Super Challenge again. So without further ado, here's my favorite segment, Showtime with Greg Poe.
This is your roving reporter, Greg Pollock, coming to you from, it's Bristol, baby. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing. Over the 4th of July weekend, the SCCA and the Eastern Tennessee region hosted a dual ProSolo and national tour we commonly refer to as Summer Nationals, or East Coast Nationals. The event is held in the parking lot right in between the Bristol Motor Speedway, the circle track, and Thunder Valley, the drag racing track. It's one of my favorite events of the year because the lot is large and grippy, although very undulating, which can make car setup. It's also very hot, and there's always a thunderstorm in the forecast for every afternoon. The event not only features some great competition, but lots of fun, as there's on-site parties, cannonballs into the pool at the race day condos across the street, and lots of hanging out in between events. That right there was La Fonda, possibly one of my favorite cars, tackling the course. The event starts out like every other ProSolo with practice starts and course walking, possibly with your favorite beverage, possibly with your favorite adult beverage, as this is Bristol, baby. Hey, Big Mike. Cars at the competition range from everything from a massive Wang A-Mod car, you can literally see the downforce on that thing, to an actual 1968 Jaguar E-Type, and they were not driving this thing gently around the course. These guys were getting some. And even more modern cars, like a Tesla, that was plugged in to a gas generator. I guess that's better for the planet. I'm not really sure on that last one. Let's talk results. Patrick Gaffney and his son Connor Gaffney drove in SS in their Porsche. Patrick placed second, and Connor placed 11th. Jack Chrissy raced in C Street and was 6th out of the 31 drivers in that massive class. F Street was another massive class, 13 drivers, 7 of them coming from our region. Sam Strano finished first, Brian Carwin was third, Clyde Kaplan came in 7th, Kevin Henry was in 9th, Lee Pacone was in 10th, Steven Salisbury 11th, and Bill Stockton was in 13th. In STR, well, I drove in STR, Marcus Pine, surprise to no one, took first place, Greg Pollock was in 5th, and Steve Mitchell was in 7th. SSC, Logan Davis was 7th, and just one out of the trophies. Jeremy Hubble right behind him in 8th. S1, Mark I can't pronounce his last name, in John V's old BMW took the win. Nick Dunlap got the last trophy spot in 5th position, driving Oscar. Mike Brown came in 11th. S5, Dustin Grubbs was in 2nd place, but we'll hear more from Dustin in the challenge in a minute. SSP, Eric Peachy was in 1st place in the Viper. L1, Caitlin Dunlap was in 1st place driving Oscar, and in L3, Jen Fox was in 5th place, but close enough to make the challenge. Next up, we have STX. STX, Cody Hunt placed 2nd, and Matthew English was 6th. However, Cody had a fast enough run to get 1st place. The question is, did he roll out of the lights and redline on his fastest run? You make the call. Did he roll? Or is he just jealous of Whitener's Big Wang? Next up, we have the Ladies Challenge. Jen Fox was against Kim Whitener in round 1. Unfortunately, Jen lost to Kim. I see a pattern here. Jen lost to the ultimate winner of the Ladies Challenge in Bristol. Jen lost to Shelley in Cleveland, ultimate winner, and she also lost to Amy, the winner of the challenge in New Jersey. It seems like if Jen can get past round 1, she'll win the whole thing. On to the knockout rounds. Knockout round number 1 featured drivers like Patrick Gaffney, Brian Carwin, Marcus Pine, and Cody Hunt. Unfortunately, Patrick, Brian, and Marcus all got knocked out, but Cody made it into knockout round 3. Knockout round number 2 featured Eric Peachy, who finished in 8th, just making it over the bubble, and Dustin Grubbs, your number 1 qualifier in round number 2. Dustin not only won knockout round number 2, he broke out by .412, which means he went way faster than he did in competition, leading K round number 2, moving on to knockout number 3. Knockout round number 3. Here we get people like Eric Peachy in the Viper, Dustin Grubbs in his SI Civic, and Cody Hunt in his FRS. Unfortunately, Eric Peachy was knocked out. Dustin Grubbs was in third, breaking out again, this time on the other side by .320. Cody Hunt, second place, on to the final brackets. In round one, Dustin Grubbs was against his fellow G Street competitor, Evan Williams. Unfortunately, Dustin DNFs in the round number one, and Evan moves on to round number two. Round number one, Cody Hunt versus Will Teller. Unfortunately, Cody catches a cone in the slalom. What's this? Will also catches a cone? Cody goes on to win round number one and move on to round number two? And from there, Bristol does what Bristol does. It rains, it lightnings, it delays the whole event. They canceled the end of the Super Challenge, and to be honest, I don't even know who won because it doesn't matter. Congratulations to Cody and Dustin for making it all the way to the final round. Pro Solo top packs. Here we go. Sam Strano, third place in packs. Brian Carwin, 7th in packs. Mark Kanakrotnias, 13th in packs. Jack Chrissy, 14th in packs. Dustin Grubbs, 15th in packs. Marcus Pine, 18th in packs. And Cody Hunt, 19th in packs. We'll never know what it could have been if he didn't roll or not roll forward during that light. This has been your roving reporter, Greg Pollock, reporting on the Bristol Pro Solo. Up next, we've got the National Tour. Hold on. At the Bristol Tour, Patrick Gaffney was one out of the trophies in 5th place after having to put in a safety run on day one. Never put in a safety run, always send it. A Street, Dean Mohit showed up and got 4th place in the wrong car with the wrong transmission and got the last trophy place. B Street, Ryan St. Louis was in 7th place. C Street, Jack Chrissy, 4th place and the last trophy. Out of 34 drivers, it feels like C Street is really the place to be these days for some great competition. F Street was missing a driver from the tour. Sam Strano came in 2nd place. Clyde Kaplan was in 5th place and in the trophies. Mike Snyder was in 10th place. Lee Picone, 13th place. Bill Stockton was in 14th. And Steven Salisbury was in 16th. F Street Ladies, always a funny name in my opinion. E came out of retirement to get 3rd place. Abby was in 4th and Gwen was in 5th. G Street, very small class for some reason. Dustin got 2nd place. H Street, Daniel McFarland was in 3rd, and I bet we're going to get some pretty good video from those runs. Let's see, SSC, Logan Davis was in 6th and Jeremy was in 8th. STR, some guy named Marcus won it again. Yawn. Greg Pollock was in 5th and Steve Mitchell was in 7th. STX, Cody right behind Widener. I bet it's going to be a good battle at Nationals if Cody is brave enough to bring his twin. We'll see. And then Rusty English ended up in 7th. SSP, Justin 1, Eric 2 in the Viper. CSP, Nick 2nd place, Caitlin 3rd place, driving Oscar. ESP, Mark 1st place. And our good friend Peter Florence was also in the class. Let's see, there's a new class called Ladies Street Tire, which is a bump class made up of all of the ladies' classes, and Jen Fox took the win. Overall packs for the tour, Marcus Pine was 7th. I think that might be his highest packs win at a national event ever. We'll find out in the comments. Sam Strano was 9th, Jack Chrissy was 16th, and Cody Hunt was 17th. There's your quick Bristol Tour recap.
Thank you, Greg, so much again. And this concludes the events report for the week.
We're extremely thankful for having Danny McFarland with us for the past 3 episodes talking about how to get started with race video recording, how to build his cool F1 style autocross videos, and how to build our own gauges for our video. And today we'll wrap up our 4-part series with tips and tricks on how to set up and record with the recording equipment and apps during the race, so no one would have an excuse not to have cool autocross videos themselves. We're also going to cover the image stabilization techniques that Daniel is going to talk about, using GoPros and applications afterwards. So hi, Daniel. Thank you again for showing us all your secrets.
Yeah, absolutely. So camera here might not be all that helpful because I'm going to be staring down at my tablet showing you exactly what I do. But we can go ahead and throw that on later. Hopefully that will look good. So the first thing you want to do is, so if you don't have Race Chrono open, you got to open that. Then the next thing you want to do is probably create a track. So if you're going to, you're already at the location, so you want to go ahead and just create a track. All right, so we're going to pretend that I'm starting a new track here when I'm really just pulling up the one from that I already created before.
Okay.
So we're going to come in here. You're going to see a little red triangle where you're holding your phone or your GPS if you got that connected. So that is where you are on the map. That might not necessarily be exactly the center of your screen because you can move the screen around.
Right.
And so that's something to keep in mind here is when you add a trap, whether it's the start line or the finish line, it's going to add it directly in the center of your screen, which might not be where you are. So you do need to keep that in mind. So we're looking at this. This was the SCCA event on Washington Circuit back in March of 2022. So you'll notice a couple of things here. I've got a standing start where you line up the car. There's the start line where you actually cross the beam, and a finish line over here where you actually cross the finish beam. So if you're able to set your start and your finish closer together time-wise, so you set your start line and then immediately walk over to the finish line and set that, you won't have to worry about the GPS drifting in between. It should be a little bit more accurate. I don't always do that myself. Sometimes I just walk through the course and go there. But what you're going to do... Question
for you, Daniel. So when you do this, are you just literally using the GPS on your phone or device, or are you already connected to the GPS itself?
So you can do it either way. When I was using the V-Box Sport, I had like an external antenna on it. So I just set that up in my car and left that up. Having the data and the start and finish here in the app is going to be relatively close. You can set it up within a couple of tenths of what you'll actually run, but it's never going to be exact. So if you're exporting this from Race Chrono itself or from Solo Storm, it's always going to be slightly off, which is part of the reason why I run everything through RaceRender, so I can say exactly down to the millisecond, this is when I cross the line. But you can actually go through, I just use my phone GPS to do it because it's not, I'm standing still. It doesn't have to be that accurate.
Understood.
So I walk up to the staging area. So I'm going to come in here and add a trap. So I click the Add Trap button. It's going to give you a split line trap type, which is really for the sectors. So if we tap on that, you can see there are various different options here. There's disabled, which is not that helpful for us. There's the start line, finish line, start finish line. So if you're want to finish a lap and then immediately start the next one, you would use that. But we're standing in the staging area, so we're going to hit standing start area. And then there are a couple of different options that you can use here. So there's the move option up in the top right. So if you click that and then drag your screen around, that'll move it to various different spots. So if you don't have where you're standing in the exact center of the screen, you can click that in order to move it around. You can click the rotate button, which doesn't do anything for the standing start, but that will come into play later. And you can also, there we go, I lost it. There we go. You can also hit the width in order to change how wide or how small it is. I usually make them relatively large, 80, 100, 160 feet wide, because it's for the standing start especially, you want it to be large enough that it picks you up even if your GPS is drifting around a little bit. So when you start the stage, you'll start to see the timer start ticking. So you'll pull up and it'll say, all right, well, your lap has started, and you panic a little bit and then remember, it's going to reset back to 0 because it realizes I haven't moved at all. So then you're good to go. So you take your 10 or 15 or 20 steps or 2 steps forward if you're Mercedes-Benz to the start line, and then you do the same thing here. So you add a trap. You're going to change that to start line, and you can give it a name if you want. Now here's where the rotation is going to make more of a difference, because if you're like me on this particular tablet that doesn't have GPS, it's not going to rotate you to the right spot. So you may have to drag this around to rotate it so that it's facing the same way that you are. And the phone GPS doesn't always show you exactly the direction that you're moving, especially if you're not actually physically walking forward. So you may have to use some of the context clues of the actual satellite photos that are in the background to see exactly what the rotation is there. But then, you move that around, you hit the back button, and you're good to go. So then I would start walking through here, walk the course, try and figure out, all right, well, this is about a third of the way through the lap, through the run here. So I'm going to go ahead and tap the add trap again. And this time we want the sectors. So some people don't care about that. I'd like to kind of get a general idea of, how long is it going to take me through here? Mm-hmm. So same thing. You hit the add trap there, but you leave the trap type at split line this time. So you're just creating split. You rotate it so it's in the right direction. And you're done. I don't typically change the width at all there because generally I'm not going the exact same direction within 100 feet of wherever I am on a course. There were some Capital Driving Club courses, especially at the Frederick lot, that was like 200 feet by 200 feet, where you might actually be that close. But the SCCA courses you don't have to worry about that as much.
Yeah, that lot was a little tiny. Yep.
Yeah. So once you have your sector, your split line there, you keep walking through the lap, you walk, and you get to the finish line, and it's basically the same thing. You hit the add trap button, you change it to finish line, you rotate it, you might have to move it. I have to rotate this one pretty far because we're coming from the opposite angle there. Move it a little bit so it matches wherever I am, and you're basically done. So once you have done all of that, you've got a new track, and then you go back to your car, you put your phone up, you hit the start, you select the track that you just made, you roll up to the starting line, it connects to your GPS, connects to your VD2 reader and all that. And once you pull up to the standing start area, this timer here in the bottom left, at least for me, is going to start ticking up forward and then reset back to 0. And as soon as you cross the start line, it's going to start recording. So it will record your lap, you cross the finish line, and it's done. So you just hit start here, you let it go for the entire session, and then when you're done, you just hit the back and confirm that you want to stop recording, and then you've got a session. So while you're recording that, you'll actually have the option to go through and compare the different laps. So we didn't actually do anything in that particular one that I just started there. But you can look at the laps that you've got here. And from here, you can kind of see this is the Mercedes-Benz run I had in April. So I've got 3 laps from the start of from the morning session and 3 laps from the finish session. So I can actually tap here to see my fastest lap. I can come up here and compare it to a previous lap here. So in here, I can look at exactly where I started. I've got kind of a GPS thing over on the left here. I've got a video that I didn't import, so it just kind of is blank up in the top right. But down in the bottom right for me, it might be a third of a screen for other people if you don't have a full tablet here. There's the graph, and in particular is extremely helpful. So you can kind of click the gear icon in order to change some of the things that are displayed here. I've got my throttle trace, I've got my speed trace, and then I've got time delta here in the purple, so I can see exactly where am I gaining time, where am I losing time throughout the lap. So when I come back from grid, or come back to grid from my run, I can come in here, zoom in a little bit on the GPS to see where I was, zoom in a little bit on the graph, I can come over, hit play, and I can just see my run playing out on the screen in front of me, and I can see exactly where I did things well and where I didn't. So right there I can see, my time delta went way up to 0.2, but then I didn't actually get tail happy there at the end. So I just gained half a second right there. And then, all right, well, I need to do that next time. I need to do that better. I need to not lose the time before and keep doing the things that are better. So I can see some of the bold green. I was on the throttle a little bit more here, and you can see that played out into me gaining 2 or 3 tenths there. So we're coming through to the finish here, and it's pretty steady because I'm full throttle both laps. But that's once you have that, you can kind of look through, oh, well, actually this other lap was a lot better. I can go look at that instead if I wanted. But having that data right there, you've already done all the work to set up the track, to record what you've already done all the work. Now's the time to reap the benefits and actually go faster because of it.
That's awesome, because this is obviously for folks that are running Race Chrono, how to set up starts and finish. Does Race Chrono have auto start, auto finish feature, or is that accurate at all? Or it always requires a set track before it executes?
So you have to, you have to pick the track. It'll try and find a close track. If you're running on a real racetrack, like you're running Summit, Maine, it'll pretty much automatically figure out, oh, you're running this one, I've already got it in the database, good to go. It'll load it right up where you're good to go. For autocross, you do need to pull out your phone when you're doing that course walk. You want it, you need to set up the track yourself. You can set the traps and your start and your finish later. Like if I noticed, hey, my times are 3-4 tenths off here, I want to go adjust the start or the finish line on the track, I can go back in here and actually change the track itself. I can edit the track in order to change the times around. So if I wanted to come back in here to the one that I just showed you guys, edit the finish, move that, a couple of steps later, it's going to go recalculate all that in the session that it saved, because it's got all the GPS data, and it knows, hey, that 47.2 that was there before, it's now 47.4. So it recognizes, hey, this was the time that I had. I just recalculated it against the track as it is now. So you can re-edit some of that later if you have the data. You don't have the data, you're out of luck.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's definitely for sure. So I guess one of the things I can sum up is there are differences between how we use Race Chrono, RaceRender combination versus a SoloStorm type of setup. But one of the things that you can use Race Chrono, RaceRender, you're reaping all the benefits of all the research and time that Daniel has been done for you. So so that's a huge difference. I mean, basically you get a lot more at a very little prices. And then essentially all you have to do is during your course walk, set up your track, set up your start trap, they'll split and finish. Then off you go. There's really not that much of a difference afterwards between the two products when you think about it.
Let's talk a little bit about that image stabilization you guys were talking about earlier. How does that work? Is it a setting?
So it's actually a video editing program. So I use DaVinci Resolve, which is free. I do prefer the free programs. The studio version, if you want to run 8K video and stuff like that, then you might have to pay for that. But the actual studio editing software here, just the regular software, that's free, which is the right price in my opinion. But they're really doing this so that people will get used to their product, and the people that go actually run in a studio will actually know how to use it and go already familiar with their software. They're taking a little while to load here. I've got a lot of stuff on my computer, so it's figuring things out. I already have a project set up for all of my stabilization stuff. If you're coming in here doing something brand new, you'll have to click a new project. You might have to change some of the timeline settings. That's all pretty relatively basic. Doesn't recognize some of those videos. That's okay. But we're going to go ahead and grab one of my Sunday runs. So from Charlotte Tour. So Actually, let's go ahead and grab one of my Saturday runs because I was actually running fast enough where the camera was actually shaking.
Yeah.
So all you have to do is you have your organized videos. I don't know if other people like to organize them in the folders on their hard drive, or they just keep everything in one giant folder. However you want to do it, you just got to go find your file. I am on the edit section of DaVinci Resolve right now. All you got to do is drag that right here, and it'll automatically import the video. It'll import the sound, so you can kind of see, drag things through and see you actually going through your lap here. What we're going to do is we're going to find some place in the start line. We're already at the start line. The camera's not shaking at all, and we're good to go. This, without without any kind of hyper smooth or anything like that, is going to bounce around quite a bit. So we want to get our 100% video here. So we're going to come over to Fusion. So this is where you can do all kinds of crazy things. You can add little fireworks. You can add stabilization. You can. This is like the special effects portion of DaVinci Resolve. So the thing that we really care about is hitting Shift and then Spacebar, and you get this little tool selection thing that comes up. And we're going to add a planar tracker, and then you get some options over here in the top right. So we're going to change the tracker to hybrid point area, because we want to, when I'm creating these videos, I want it to be stabilized based on where the car is. You know, when you've got a Formula One car, that camera is bolted directly to the car. If the car flips over to the right, you know, the camera flips with it. It doesn't stay stable right there in the hanging off the side. So we're going to grab a hybrid point area, and we're going to start clicking somewhere to kind of figure out the spot that we care about in the actual video itself. So I like to come around here, start going around the A pillar here, around my mirror, come a little bit inside, and then keep coming up around the A pillar, and then connect everything back up so you've got just this little polygon here that you say, this is the part of the screen that I care about, stabilize everything based on this. We know that the camera is going to shake left, right, up and down, and kind of rotate a little bit. It's not going to zoom in and out, so we don't want the perspective to actually change here either. So we changed the motion type to translation and rotation, and we click set. So we're saying, all right, this is the reference period that I want to go with. So first thing we need to do is get some data so it knows what's going on. So all you have to do now is click this track to end button. So this is going to start going through, and depending on how good your GPU is, this might go in real time. This might take 30 minutes. I've got a RTX 3070, so this is going to go about 1/3 speed for me. So I kind of get a nice preview of the data, the video that I'm going to go make right now going through. So you can see it's tracking all the individual frames, the pixels here, saying, hey, these green things are moving a little bit, but they're kind of staying within the frame. Some of these red things are kind of moving a lot. I don't know what's going on there. So it's saying, all right, I'm going to ignore that stuff. But you can see as the camera is bouncing up and down here, the polygon is bouncing up and down with it. So once you track all the way to the end, you'll get plenty of data there. We're going to kind of skip some of that because this would take another 2 or 3 minutes here. So you've got that. So we already have, so we're going to pretend that we've got all the data all the way to the end. You can go back to the reference time, and you can also track for that. If your car has a lot of noise, vibration, harshness stuff, you might want to also stabilize pulling up to the start line. Maybe you don't care. But now that we've got our data, we're going to change the operation mode from track over to stabilize. This smoothing window here, I don't exactly know what this does, but I always pick Gaussian just because. And then you click compute stabilization. It should take a little bit of time. It'll do that. So it's figured out, all right, this is what I need to do in order to stabilize based on that area. And then the last thing to do is come in here and say, I want to actually zoom in because it's going to crop some of the video in order to make it stabilized. So instead of having like little black bars that show up sometimes around the outside of the video, if you zoom in just a little bit and click the auto zoom, you can see it zoomed in by about 2% or so, which is not that much. You're not really going to notice that. But then that's it. You have your everything, all the special effects done here. So all you need to do at this point is go deliver it. So you go export it. DaVinci Resolve is pretty nice because it will actually put the individual video segments that you've got. So you can just click on this and right click and render this clip. So it'll set your start and finish right here. You give it a title. Some of this stuff needs to be set up the first time you do it. Here we're talking about that H.264 codec that RaceRender really likes. If you're using the H.265, it'll look nicer some places, but not for RaceRender. You want to use the H.264 here. I use the same resolution as the GoPro settings that I've got, which is 2704 by 1520. You can see that if you right-click on your video and go to Properties, and then go to Details, you're going to have your frame width and height right here, so you can kind of see about the width and height that you need. And you also have the data rate that it's saved at if you want to restrict quality there, so you don't have a giant file from stuff that's not really going to help. So once you've got that set up, you click Add to Render Queue. It's going to show up over here. You just click Render, and then it will actually play through the video as it's rendering it and save that file. And that's the file that you would just import directly into RaceRender.
So this step is technically before the other step.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to
Nice. Okay.
stabilize the video before you actually import it.
Right. It makes
of-
total sense.
Well, I mean, I 100% appreciate this, right? Because I realize that I stopped using image stabilization from the GoPro because it just shifts way too much. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what I was looking at.
Yeah.
And then once I remove image stabilization, and then it doesn't matter what kind of mount that I use, it still vibrates up to a certain point where, especially if I put it on a RAM mount with a long extended leg, then all of a sudden all that weight is going to make it bounce up and down and left and right. If the camera is stuck onto the windshield, right, and usually that's probably the best of the videos without stabilization correction. But this is incredible, right? Because I've been looking for solutions of like gyroscope or not, like.
You want to put a gimbal on your car?
Yeah, I want to put some stuff on there so that all that shaking and moving, the camera just tracks in that same spot. So now this is a great way to kind of get around that. Yeah, I mean it adds a little bit more time on to develop your original video, but hey man, this is all that stuff is worth it. Yeah, because that's really the perspective of what's going on in the car anyway. When you think about it, with all that movement, it's actually the accurate view of what's really going on. Yeah,
Daniel,
your eyes are going to compensate for that.
Yeah.
Is this video sped up?
No, this is real H Street.
You're
Guy
flying.
trying to reset the cone there. Almost.
Yeah, what was that guy doing moseying out there?
I don't know. But you can kind of see, I was showing earlier the non-stabilized video. It's shaking here as I'm coming into the braking zone. Even in H Street, my car is going to be bouncing around a little bit. But then I come back over here to the stabilized video into that same spot, and you can kind of see, hey, this is a lot smoother here. So the horizon might bounce a little bit, but my car is very steady.
Yeah. No, that's great. Say I built a lot of track videos. Well, trying to take advantage of what Garmin has. That's a windshield mount video. Mm-hmm. So that actually takes over as the primary video because the actual bouncing around is so much that even though I put picture in picture, I always realized I would focus on the more clear non-bounce one versus the bounce one to get a more accurate representation. But so this is great. This is awesome.
Yeah, I think even more so than some of the template stuff, I think the stabilization here is some of the most helpful stuff that I've found. And it did take a little while to figure that out, but once you kind of know the process, it is very helpful to make the videos look super crisp, super clean, and get that 100%.
Yeah. Oh man, thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, with that, thank you, Daniel. Thank you for joining us for these past few Features of the Week episodes. I'm sure our listeners learned a lot about video, data recording, how to apply what we've learned to their own videos and document their racing. Please remember, after you've made your cool videos for anyone to see, don't forget Daniel played a huge part in this, and say hi to him and thank him. Thank our awesome guest, Daniel. We want to sincerely thank you, Daniel, for spending the time to show us all these cool things. I've learned so much, like not even kidding, over these last few episodes. See you at the events. I think I got to take you out to Long John Silver's.
Oh boy!
No, don't listen to Adam. We're gonna take you to the cool Mediterranean place right next to Long John Silver's.
Okay.
Okay. So
you're gonna get real lobster bisque instead of like the fake lobster or whatever from Long John.
It's not. You get the shrimp.
Yeah. Fake shrimp, Long John Silver's.
But they're either doing remodeling, or they're tearing the building down, because I definitely drove by it the other day because I was craving some Long John Silver's, right? So I drove over an hour to go get some Long John Silver's, but it was like looked like big construction. So We'll see what happens there.
All right, well dinner on me for sure at the cool Mediterranean place. You can have all the lobster bisque you want.
Oh my god!
All right, again, thank you so much, Daniel, and this will conclude our Feature of the Week with Daniel. And please come back and join us again.
Yes, thank you, Daniel.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much.
Take care, guys.
All right. Thanks. For our Meeting a New Autocross Friends segment, I'm happy to introduce John and Pam Clay as our new autocross friends. John and Pam race with PCA Potomac as well as other autocross clubs in the area. They are both competitive autocrossers and always helping out and instruct new PCA autocrossers to get them up to speed. Let's welcome the nicest autocross team I know, John and Pam, and thank you both for joining us.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you again. First of all, when and how did you both start autocrossing, and who started first?
So
Pam was the one that actually got us going as far as the performance driving. Pre-internet, before you learn about these things on the internet, she saw an ad in the Montgomery Journal, a newspaper, in-print newspaper, for an event called Women at the Track, which was held here through, I assume through the BSR group. And it was a really good event. What they did was instead of having the classroom instructions like the day of the event, everybody stayed at the hotel in Winchester, and they had a conference room and did the classroom session the day before. And then it was run similar like Porsche Club has their HPDC, intro for the beginners. It was similar to that, with your slalom and threshold braking, back when cars all didn't have ABS. And then in the afternoon, it was, out on the track. She's the one that actually got it started. So I don't know if you want to fill in any more on that.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun. And the instructors are women, of course. They were mostly PCA instructors, and that's when we first heard about PCA. I did maybe like 3 or 4 events.
We had a 91 Acura Integra. And then, like a lot of new people do, it's like, instead of going, okay, I need to get better, I was like, we need a faster car. So we had a 94 Integra GSR. And going with her to these events, just talking to other people, they were talking about autocross. And so I was the first one to do any autocrossing. I'm like, well, that sounds like fun and a lot less commitment to the track. And so I went to the novice school at NSA. We've been autocrossing probably more me than Pam, then we had kids. Probably up until, I would do a handful of events a year.
Right.
And then in 2003, we bought our 944. Got back to doing the track events in that, and then started with PCA Potomac, started one of their events, and then kind of caught on. Cindy and Tony Pagonis became part of the PCA Potomac Autocross Committee. And I've been autocrossing quite a bit since then with other clubs. Pam a little less so. She makes most of the Porsche Club events, and been doing a lot more the last couple of years now that the kids are
out of their house.
Yes. Go to a lot more.
Yeah.
I think that's the way you get better. Going to more events, and then riding with other people or getting feedback from other people, getting better. But back then, when we first got the 944, we signed up to go to the 50th parade. I know this is like dating ourselves, but so at that event, I signed up for an autocross, but I wanted to be prepared. So I took like the Evolution school, the SCCA school.
Do you remember who your instructors were?
Yeah, Sam and
Strano?
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, so it was really good, and I went to the parade. I came in second.
Nice.
For ladies, so it was fun.
No, that's awesome.
We were kind of hooked. I was just like amazed. Parade. I want to go back to the parade sometime. But anyway, we just been engaged with PCA Potomac, and just helping with the autocross schools and all the events moving from we were at Rosecroft to Bowie, and then here go to the Frederick Keys lot.
Yeah, Frederick
too.
Keys lot. We did the Frederick Keys lot.
That was way back. Right?
It's awesome that you have all that history and experience. That's great. Right now, at this time, my guess is John is the one that's bugging Pam to go at this point. Am I right? Or so who is the bigger influence?
I'm the one that gets her to bugs her a little bit. She'd rather. I mean, she loves autocrossing. You got to get her out of bed. I would say it's me. But.
Well, we both, that's like a thing we do together. Like we like it when we can come to an event and we can both ride with each other, and maybe some of the clubs will us work together. It's like we spend a day together out away from the kids or whatever. It's fun. It's like the thing we do, to do together. So,
what you liked about autocrossing the most? And also name one thing that you learned from autocrossing that you can apply to every day in life, if there's any.
I like driving my car. I like driving Porsches. Okay, so I like my car right now, and I like coming out here trying to challenge myself driving the car. Sometimes I'll be hard on myself if I know I could have done that better. Probably everybody does that. So. Just a way to challenge myself, see other people, and we can go out there and know the limits of the car. I've always liked cars, my whole life, like Porsches. So when we first got our 944, it was exciting. I would go in the garage and look oh my gosh, I can't. We moved to the Boxster, and now they came in, and it's just I enjoy it, and I think taking out on the road. I also instruct for street survivals. I've done that, for over 10 years. It's the skills you can use in everyday life on the road. You sense your car. Oh, my car's sliding. I know what to do. Or I need the ABS. I know how that feels. I've had students where they didn't know about ABS. They didn't know what to do if their car was sliding. And we've had our kids even go into street survival. That was a prerequisite to getting their license. We kind of forced them into it. Each one of them. Around our area, I think that's what you have to be defensive with people. They're hey, they're not, paying attention. Everyone's on their phones. But and I like the people. I'm meeting up with everybody. We have a lot of friends we've met here at Autocross that we've known for a long time. Everyone's supportive.
Yeah, I would say for me, from the driving standpoint, it's just having the car at or over the limit in a safe environment, and you have the competitive side of it as well. Not a huge commitment. That's the piece I like from the driving side. From the people side, it's just that everybody's helpful. If anybody asks for help from somebody and somebody's not willing to help them, you just happen to draw the wrong person. Rarely does it happen that if you ask for help with something. We talk about, as far as getting better, I always try to ask somebody that's faster than I am to ride with me, try to find a couple of things that I can improve on, and people are always willing to do that. And no matter what you need help with, everybody loves the sport and is very, very, very helpful.
I've seen Pam getting really fast lately, and now battling John, right, to see who is the fastest one in the Clay family. Do you both approach the race the same, with high intensity or focus, or super chills and just let it happen?
Pam still gets nervous.
Getting nervous?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She can't sleep the night before.
Yeah. I'll tell you. I don't want to say anything out of line. I was right next to Scott Borden, right? So he stands over there before his restaurant and says, "I don't know what's going on. I'm getting nervous. I usually don't get nervous."
Oh.
Yeah.
So Pam still gets nervous. It takes her, a little bit to kind of get through. To kind of get through the nerves a little bit.
Right.
For me, I would say I'm kind of in the middle.
Right.
I would say I try to generally stay calm. It kind of helps you with smoothing out some of the inputs, and if you're a little bit calmer.
Right.
As far as the approach. It's funny you're talking about the competitiveness, and she's been very, very fast this year in a couple of the events. And the first event of the year, she beat me for the first time in the same car.
Yeah.
I think maybe ever. And it's
Nice, right?
it's funny because you don't know how you're going to react.
Right.
Until I knew it was going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't know how to react, and it's not like getting beat by your brother. It's different. You're not sad at all. We're absolutely celebrating. Just a completely different dynamic.
Yes.
I'm almost rooting for you. If I
Same
seem
thing.
close to another person, like, come on, you can do it. You
Yeah,
can do
yeah,
it,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you really
Yeah.
are rooting for the other person.
Right.
Like I said,
I'll
it's
tell you, when you
not
run together as an autocross team, you're always rooting each other on, right?
Right.
So I remember, obviously, my co-driver is not my wife, right? But whenever I co-drive with someone, I want them to do well. When they do well, and I'm super happy, right?
Right.
Yeah, almost to a point where it's like, okay, you can do well. I'm just going to sit aside and watch, But yeah, in this situation, that's great, right? Because both of you have opportunities to kind of go super fast and then kind of cheer each other on, and that's great. All right, so are there any other hobbies that you would like to do together outside of autocrossing, or you're already doing, right? Do you find yourself approaching other hobbies the same way as autocrossing?
Well, we just started doing pickleball and golf. So I've been trying to take golf lessons to learn to play on the course with John. And
Right.
we're not. I don't know. I just kind of go. I'm not really. I think I take autocross differently right now.
We're at a different level now.
Well,
Honestly, you're at a different driving level now. So
it's more relaxed. This is a lot more intense, I think, than other hobbies we do. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So Pam just started golfing here in the last year.
Yeah.
So she's taking lessons. Hasn't been out on a course yet.
Well, you got to get out. Yeah, you got to get out.
Driving range. I know. We're going this year.
Yeah.
She's been practicing.
Right.
Kind of working up to it. Then I actually started playing soccer when I turned 40.
Wow. That's awesome.
I had basically never played before.
Right.
My kids all, our daughters all played. My youngest daughter just finished up. She played through college. Just finished up her senior year, and at that point, I was like, well, that looks like a good adult sport. It could be a more interesting way to get exercise than just going out and running or those kind of things. So I think in a way I do approach it the same, just in that always asking for help. Right. If you want to play golf, if you want to do what we do here at autocrossing, we have novice schools.
Yes.
Right. There are level 2 schools. Right. There's schooling. When I started playing soccer, I literally had never played a competitive game of soccer in my life, and hardly even played as a kid. And so I was looking for that, and it wasn't there. So my teammates that were experienced, I just asked them for help, and some of them, one was the coach of a rec boys team, and I'd go out and practice with the rec boys team. But I think it's the same kind of mentality of you got to practice at it, both with somebody helping you and then on your own. So I think that is kind of similar.
Yeah. We're just learning.
Yeah.
And
I've never, on the golf side, I've never committed to learning golf. I did play that as a kid, but not a lot. So it's a little more difficult to spend the time at that versus you can play soccer, you practice your backyard, you practice against the wall.
Right.
So.
It'll be fun to learn, how to play golf, with some instructors, because usually they can correct a lot of these bad habits.
I wanted to start off just not knowing. It's tell me how to how to play correctly and
it's almost like learning how to grip the golf club and learning how to put your hands on the steering wheel. It's almost the same. It's like you have to get that fundamental thing down right. Yeah.
And I was learning how to play pickleball, so I think it's really fun, and I like doing that, but I guess we just need to get out there and play more. So I was in a group, where we played. It was just, hey, I like this sport. I used to play tennis, so taking that, and then learning the pickleball.
Right. So Alan, our hydrologist, that normally does the weather report, and him and his wife Kate plays a lot of pickleball. Maybe he can start get some competitions going or something.
That would be fun. I come to autocross. There aren't a lot of women here. I wish more would come out. But the first thing, a lot of people that don't know us, they come up to me and they'll say, "Are you driving? Will you drive?" It's just kind of, do you know I say that right? I mean,
all the time.
I mean, even today,
Right.
like, you need 2 wristbands. You need, I'm an instructor.
Right.
I've tried to work hard learning and trying to focus on helping people and ensuring I know how to, when people are out there, instructing properly so that they can get on the course. They're not off course. They can, improve. And you can kind of tell when you're riding with somebody as an instructor if they have, a future in autocross, like, yeah, you've got the ability. But anyway, yeah, it's just, I wish there were more people, more women, and that would be engaged in the autocross, and maybe even the car clubs could somehow promote that.
Right. It's interesting you mentioned that, because I do race with all kinds of different clubs and stuff like that. So the women's participation at the SCCA races used to be very low, like 5%.
Oh, okay.
But it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Oh,
Initially, it's always, you get into a husband and wife team. That's kind of how it gets started. But there are a lot of women now that are begin to enter races and do it themselves. So maybe we'll start something. Maybe we can have a group or something like that started for most of the DMV Autocross, or women's group, or something like that. Because I personally knew quite a few women that are fast and then they're raced nationally and they're in this area.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So the fact that maybe when they don't come to this club and then go to other club, it doesn't mean that combine or mingle together.
Right.
Yeah. But some of the fastest people I know are
I'm
women.
not doubting that.
Yeah,
I
mean,
definitely.
Yeah, it's like sometimes I go to an autocross, I go, oh my gosh, Shelley Montfort is there, or Larry Kramer, or Jen Fox is there, right? I mean, they're legit fast women. So I really hope that there are more women participation, because this driving is not a men's sport. It is not. It's just
Right.
has a lot to do with preparation and learning the skills and execute. So it doesn't really require anything else other than just stay ahead of the game, really. Yeah.
Another thing, I have 0 qualifications in the mental health world, but I think it's so great to have something like outside of your job, outside of your day-to-day life, that just completely takes you away from it.
Yeah.
Whether it's a sport or it's a hobby or just getting out in nature.
Yeah.
I just think it's really, really big. And then if you lose one of those things, it's something
Right.
that you can do with your spouse. That much better.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah, I work to race, so there's no pressure at work. Yeah. No, that's great. And again, thank you so much. And then for spending the time, and then we'll see you out there for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Danny.
Okay, great. Thank you.
This meeting, we're going to be talking about the 5 best cars for autocross based on life situation. And what is a life situation? Some would consider that money. Maybe that some would consider it like, say you have a lot of kids. Danny has 2 kids.
Ada's a lot of kids.
I have a couple, and maybe you need back seats. But so life situations differ from people to people, right?
Did you say car seats?
I didn't say car seats.
Wait a minute. So the 5 best autocross cars, does it have to include car seats?
How
Or
about
just
this?
have to have trunks that you can stuff your kids in?
You don't even need trunk or car seat, okay? Because one time, I probably shouldn't say this. One time I had 3 kids and a dog in a 2-seater car on a track.
Well, you shouldn't be saying that. You should just...
Can we cut it out? Let's cut that out, actually.
No,
All right.
no, we'll leave it on.
Oh my God.
You just confessed.
Two of the kids were in the trunk. Oh, man. Okay, sorry. Anyways. So let's talk about the criteria that we've selected to go over these cars, right? I think we're going to go with cars, or I guess, Danny, did you want to talk about your criteria first, or should I just kind of spitball?
Yeah, I mean, I have some comments.
Okay.
So first of all, life actually comes before autocross, right?
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that you have to meet your life's obligation first. It doesn't matter if you're young adult or 30-something, ex-gen or boomers. I'm not a boomer, by the way. I'm so happy.
You sure about that?
I'm the first year of ex-gen.
No, you're not. You're not. No,
Yes,
you're not.
I
Are you
am.
really? Are you really not a boomer?
Man. Those guys are selfish. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
No. I'm not. I'm like, I'm a giving person. No,
Are we gonna cancel our own podcast? Like, it's like,
That's right. None of the boomers listen to us except Pat Gaffney. I think he does.
Oh my god! But he's like a millennial at heart. Like, he's very young.
Nah, he's like a boomer all the way. Actually, no. Pat's very generous. So okay, I'll take that out. Right.
All of this out.
Yeah. So first of all, you really have to meet your primary obligations first, right?
Yeah.
So it's whatever the leftover money that becomes your racing budget. Yeah. Otherwise, you have a very miserable experience in this hobby. Your family will let you know. They'll ask you to make a better paying job. They want you to spend more time with them. They're going to tell you that you're missing the whole house with your car stuff, right?
Yep.
Or like tire machines off my bedroom and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like you're the only person that's ever heard that sentence, but I hear what you're saying in general. Like,
yeah, I'm just telling you exactly what I've heard.
Yeah, the living room smells like tires. Like no one.
That's right.
Like,
that's right. And then when you go to the kitchen counter, there's olive oil and there's motor oil.
Oh my god! Do not mix those up, by the way.
Yeah. So my first advice is you develop a budget first, and based on that budget, then we can recommend the best car for your budget. Any comments, Ada?
Yeah, I think that the main blocker that I've heard before is I can't afford it, right? I can't afford it. So I'm not going to try it. I'm not going to race. I'm not going to autocross. I'm not going to do track days. I'm not even going to get a car that I like because I have responsibilities. I have a couple friends. They'll probably never hear this podcast. Great guys, great people. One of them loves Preludes, right? Like, he's always loved them. And he's got like a minivan now. And I told him, you can grab yourself a Prelude and just drive around town. He's like, I can't afford it. I'm like, we're talking a couple thousand. And yes,
Preludes. I mean, is that guy a boomer? I mean, what?
He's older. He's my age. They were really cool back in the day. But like,
that made him in 35 years.
I know, but I'm just saying, like a 99 Prelude, hot. They still look good, like a clean one. But like, the mentality is, I can't afford it. But it's like, you got $1 million. He's got $1 million house. He's got all these nice stuff, but he can't mentally wrap around like a $4,000 Prelude, right? At this point, so it's just like maybe more if it's really clean. But so it's like budget matters, but it's that mentality that matters, right? So let's talk about these 5 cars, and Danny and I have both picked 5 cars, right, Danny? So we each have 5 cars, and they start kind of very low. I guess let's jump right into the criteria. I'm sorry, you jump into the criteria.
So what I was thinking is we need to simplify our criteria for the selection, right? We'll pick 5 cars from poor to rich.
Poor to rich. How about we just say different,
least expensive to most expensive?
Yeah, there you go. That sounds better than poor to rich.
Now poor to rich, man. Let's just be real.
Oh,
all right. God. So let's assume poor means that you can spend $200 a month at racing.
So our poor is actually rich. You know that, right?
But I'll tell you, it's this thing really. I mean, if you don't have $200 to race, I mean, I really don't. I mean, I think you should like pick up something else, because if it's anything less than that, it will be extremely miserable, or you're not going to have a consistent like fun hobby. So you need to budget at least $200 a month.
Okay,
right?
That's fair.
Okay, so. And what rich means that you can spend a few $1,000s a month to race or whatever you like. It doesn't really matter, right? Some people might think that, well, $200 is a lot of money, but when you figure you have to buy the car payments and month, tires and maintenance and entry fees and gas money to take care of food. Yeah. I mean, look, things are expensive, right? So if you can't spend $200 a month, the hobby is really not for you. If you have thousands of dollars and want to race exotic cars, and this hobby is really not for you either, because autocross requires get your hands dirty, and you have to work as like us commoners, right? All right. So with that said, okay, Ada and I will pick 5 cars that we think that's the best for autocross. So Ada, I think you should get to go first. So let's pick the most affordable cars first, and go.
Age before beauty. Is that what you just said? I didn't.
Yeah. You picked the poorest car first. Well, by the way, poorest car doesn't mean that it's the worst car. It might be the best car.
All right. I'm up first. Thank you, Danny, for giving me first pick. With my first pick, I choose Lewis Hamilton. He's the best.
Okay. Well, I mean, I thought you were going to pick like Michael Jordan or something.
Jordan's good, but he didn't win at Silverstone this weekend. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'll pick Max Verstappen, even though I don't like him. I only like Lewis.
Are you going to start singing? Max, Super. No. I picked the car
the cheapest car on my list, it's the EG, EK, DC2 chassis, Civic, and Integra. It's the same car, beautiful, love them. They get you out there. Consumables are very, very, very inexpensive, and they're fun. And there's parts everywhere for them. And the best part is, so you're starting off on the poor scale, right? As you get money, you can do stuff to these cars. They're tunable cars. They're tuner cars. You can throw a K in there. You can do whatever you want. And in theory, you can kind of grow with the car as your budget increases a little bit. Not all cars are like that, but these seem to be the fun ones that you can wrench on in your mom's driveway, right? So that's my first car, and I'm sticking to it.
All right. So can you find one that's not completely rusted out?
Nope, I didn't say that. You didn't. That was not stipulation.
Well, I mean, okay. So I will pick my Porsche car, right? My number one car is probably one of the best autocross cars, in my opinion, which is a Toyota MR2 Spider.
Okay.
Right. So sometimes you can pick them up. I mean, well, before the pandemic, you can pick them up for like $3,500. Right. So now the price is a little bit higher, but you can still find them $5,000-$6,000 or maybe less. Right. So to me, that's the most fun and the most bang for the buck autocross car. If you set that car correctly, it has incredible handling, super, super low consumables. Plus it looks awesome. Right. The drawback is that you have zero room for everything. So that if you have a family and then that's your only car, it's a no-go. Right. Because you can't even put car seats in there.
No, you're totally right. And it's the same drawback with the EK, EG, DC2, is that if you have a family and then you get one of those, the family will leave you. You will not.
Yeah, because it's too loud. Plus, the kids might fall off the rear floor pan because
you start wearing sweatpants to work. Like it's a downward spiral. Like
okay, Adam, let's go for number 2.
Okay, do we give each other like a win? Because I want to give you a point. I think your first car beat my first car.
Oh, no, that's all right. It's not a competition.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Then in that case, I'm going to win the next round with Evo.
Evo?
Enough said. Evo, no. The 4-door, battle-tested, all-wheel drive.
That's your second pick?
That's my second pick.
That's $50,000.
Huh?
The Evo is like $50,000 now. Well, man, you must be really rich.
I like Evos. I'm sticking to it. You're right. That's not even close to the right price range. But
plus, have you found one that's not with the blown motor?
Why are you picking on my picks about motors and stuff? Okay. I was gonna say Evo / STI, but then I thought about it, and it's like there's some really fast STIs, but then there's some really fast Evos, right? Like, I went with Evo, but STI is just as good. Same thing.
Yeah, it blows motors faster.
The STI does.
Okay, so obviously Adam's been jumping the shark because his next pick will probably be like McLaren or something.
No, my next one is my next.
Because that's his trajectory of like the poor to the rich, right?
Oh, you're right. I see what you're doing. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Okay, I'll pick my second car. So my second pick, which is totally reasonable, will either be the 8th gen Civic Si or the 10th gen Civic Si.
Well, that's two different cars.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then 10th gen Civic Si, because I was gonna stay with 8th gen, but now since you have gone to the Evo, then I'm gonna up my price. Right?
Okay. All right.
So I'll go with the 10th gen Civic Si. So, well, actually, 8th gen is probably the same price as MR2 if you know, but it drives exactly like an MR2. It's so fast in the front wheel drive. You basically just floor it, and it just goes everywhere that you like, right? And then the 10th gen has more room. And a bunch of stuff, and a bunch of room so you can carry a bunch of stuff like tires or whatever. So I actually have a demonstration. If you buy a bag like this from Amazon, right? And look, see how big it is?
Yeah, it's a big bag.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a big bag. You can buy four. It comes with the 4 of these bags for $16, $17.
Okay.
Right. And then you put your entire tire into that bag. Right. You don't get brake dust. You don't get anything. So, yeah. So you zip it up and put in your 9th 10 gen Evo. Just, roll the back seat down.
Don't try to take my pick. Don't try to take my pick. You picked Civic. You said Evo.
Right. Huh?
You said Evo just now. You meant to say Civic.
No. I also no. My 10 gen Civic Si, not the Evo, right?
Okay, good.
So if you do that, you can carry all of that stuff. You can bring your whole family. You can have car seats in there. And the 10 gen Civic Si is the most satisfying front wheel drive for autocross.
Okay. Okay.
And then, for front-wheel drive cars, you have more advantage during, you can race during rainy days and cooler days. You can have advantage and probably end up going faster, right? So that's my second top pick of the bunch.
That's a good pick, but everything you just said is better in the Evo. A little bit more space, all-wheel drive, not front-wheel drive. Yeah, I think the Evo is the clear winner.
But like if you have Aaron Shu's Evo or John Williams' Evo, they're
exactly.
top two.
Yeah.
Right. So they are faster. We're talking about racing.
Yeah. But they got so much space. There's a monkey hanging off the back of Williman's Evo. Like that's a lot of space.
But that's true. Yeah. He's got a wing. That's probably why you pick it.
That is exactly why I picked it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I can't wait for your number 3 because what's next? Like Lamborghini?
My number 3 pick. And I see that I might have messed up the pricing a little bit on this. FRS BRZ GT86 GR86.
Okay.
The quadruplets.
That's less expensive than the Evo.
I know. I realize that now. But I was thinking like Evo's, it's been around for a minute and you could still buy a brand new GR86 today.
Yeah.
But you're right.
I know that if you want to buy a running Evo, it's probably in the $30,000-$40,000 range minimum now.
So it's more than my GT86. No. It's more than a brand new GT86.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, I picked it because I think there's a great support for at this level from companies like Carceps with the bars and the wheel selection, tire selection, unbelievable. It's a fantastic car, rear wheel drive. You have a decent trunk that's relatively usable compared to some other cars. It does have back seats. So if you wanted to cram, it's not as nice as the Civic or Evo backseat space, but it's enough, right? So I don't know. I love them. I think they're great. I think you like them too, right, Danny?
Yeah, I have one. Yeah. And I have one and I have one now. So yeah, no, it's a pretty good car. But for autocrossing, it's not better than my third car that I picked.
What did you get?
So my third pick will be Indy Mazda Miata.
Oh, come on.
Right? So Weatherman Allen calls it the cheat code. It really is, right?
Yeah.
The obvious disadvantage is the car is super small, like the MR2.
Yeah.
But in autocross environment, it's got to be the most fun you can have, right? I haven't driven a car that's faster, better than a well-prepped STR Miata.
Yep.
Right? That is the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it handles awesome. And it has right amount of power in autocross environment. So actually, that's my top autocross car pick. I don't think there's any autocross car that I have experience that's better than STR well-prepped Indy Miata.
That's a good pick. And it's funny because I thought I was going to have you on the third pick. I was like, can't beat the twins. And
no, I mean, my own car is not better than Alan's car. I knew that from autocross, right? Yeah.
Man.
All right. So fourth pick, Ada.
Do you want to go first for the fourth pick or do you want me to go first?
No, you can go. Or unless you want me to go.
Or we could say it at the same time. Do you want to say it at the same time?
All right. Okay.
All right. You want to count it down?
Is my fourth pick the same as yours?
It has to be. There's no other car. There's no other choice when it comes to
okay. So my fourth pick is your car, your BMW Supra.
That's it. There's no other. That's the answer.
Right.
That's the answer. Yeah.
All right. So my justification is it's super fast out of the box.
Yep.
Right. It's got this magic rear differential that does incredible things that you can put power down at corner exit that's better than any other cars out there.
Yep.
Right. And then, well, I mean, the monthly payment is high.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep. So if you buy a Supra, you finance it for 5 years, you expect to pay $950 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
And then, or $1,000 a month now, $950 is probably a pretty low interest rate. And then, you have to go through tires. The tires for a set of Supra tires is at least $1,600 nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Good tires, right? Mm-hmm. And then Miata is about $1,100 Indy. Right?
$500 less. Yep.
Yeah. MR2 is less than $1,000.
Wow.
Right. I mean, we're talking about RE71, AO52 prices, right?
Yep.
The reason I won't pick things like, 6-gen Camaro, Mustangs, and C7 Corvette is because, the price range, even though they're pretty close, mm-hmm. I mean, they use even bigger tires.
Yeah, they do.
Right. So I definitely think that, compared with Supra and then the rest of the cars, and the rest of the cars probably even have a higher consumable, even though it's negligible. Mm-hmm. But if you count every penny, I would have guessed that, the cars are. Plus, it's Supra is just easier to drive too. So Supra is my pick.
Yes, same pick, same reasons. I just ordered and received brake pads. It costs a lot.
Yes.
But it brings the smile on my face.
Yeah.
I can't deny the feeling it gives. And behind, like when you have a great driver behind the wheel, it's magical, right? And I'm working on it. I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. And it's just seeing some videos of some of these other guys going out there and tearing it up. It's unbelievable what it can do. And even in like B Street or B.
Oh
B
no,
stock,
in B Street it's just as fast.
it's fast.
Yeah.
It's not it's fast, and they look good. So I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, it is. Good luck paying $1,100 for a set of brake pads, right?
I literally just did, and I'm like, what am I doing
Yeah.
with my life?
But the brake rotors are a lot cheaper. But fortunately, autocrossers don't have to deal with that.
Mhm.
You know, if you do a lot of track stuff, yeah, man, they get even more expensive. You know, believe me. All right, okay, you want to pick number 5 first?
Yes, I'm picking my most expensive car, the most powerful car so far on the list, depending on what you pick. I'm going with Nissan GTR. I love them. I think that they bring a harmony of man and machine, technology and visceral experiences together like no other car. One of our good friends, Edwin, has one, and I watch his videos and I'm mesmerized at how amazing this car does everything. And it's fast and it looks good, and it's just, if you want to spend that kind of money, what's better than a GTR? They are, I do believe he's done a bunch of maintenance on it, so they're not, maintenance free or anything like that. But it's automatic, right? So you get to focus on driving. You get to zone in, dial in, and they sound awesome. So, and I'm also, I don't know, I'm a fanboy, so there's that as well. So yeah, that's my 5th car, the most expensive on the list of autocross cars specifically for novices as well, is GTR.
Yeah, GTR now, I mean, after the pandemic, it's gone up some in price, but I think it's leveled out. It's coming back down again. So it's almost become somewhat, I don't want to say affordable, but it's not that much more than a Supra now. So, all right. So my 5th pick is probably going to be the same price range of the Supra, and it would be a 718 Cayman S or GTS.
Oh, good one. Good one.
So for autocrossing, Cayman S or GTS is a fairly small car, right, compared to rest of the other cars. And then if you buy the PDK and you have a 718 GTS, it's incredibly fast, super easy to drive, and you can, and it's there's no wonder that the people that owns those cars, they can run in in SCCA, they can run in Super Street, and now they're moving down to A Street now. And I definitely think that compared with the rest of the A Street cars, that's a easy car to go fast, right? Because it's the size and then how it drives and the awesome differentials and the way to put power down, and it's braking earlier, all those advantages of the mid-engine cars, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but if money's no object, right? I mean, if I have extra dollars and stuff like that, obviously I will pick a GT3 RS or a new CA Corvette Z06, right?
Why didn't you pick one of those for this?
Because I mean, that's beyond rich.
Too much. Okay.
Yeah. If you're raising raising that, I mean, we're talking about, I don't know. I mean,
big money.
5,000-6,000. I mean, I don't know, if you have to pay car payments and stuff like that, you're looking at $7,000-8,000 a month just to raise that thing, right? I mean,
maybe you're not paying car payments at that point, like
yeah. Well, I mean, people who can afford it, I mean, most likely won't have a car payment, right?
Yeah, take out that 401k.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So if you're one of those lucky novice that have like $1 million or whatever, hey, by all means buy that GT3. Yeah. And then
pick the GT3 or the Corvette. Which one? The Z06, the new Z06, or the GT3?
I've never driven a CA Z06, so I don't want to kind of make some comments, right?
Don't make comments. Which one would you pick?
I would have buy GT3.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have buy GT3. No question.
I do have another question. Why'd you pick Cayman and not like a regular 911?
Cayman GTS is cheaper. It's faster.
Okay. For autocross is a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, compare that. You take that compared to a stock, like regular Carrera. The GTS Cayman will be faster.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. It's just like it's the same concept of a like ND, versus let's say a higher, more faster power cars, right?
Mhm.
And then on paper you got the other cars has more horsepower, and all that stuff, but autocross is a completely different environment,
It
right?
is.
And this, and that's what makes autocross unique, because you can have anything.
Mhm.
You don't need to have a lot of money, but the competition gets leveled out because it actually favors certain cars that are a little less expensive than some expensive cars. That's why you never seen people. I mean, I've never seen people come out. There's only one person I know that autocross in a Lamborghini.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right. I don't know anybody that autocross in a Ferraris except that one person that sometimes will show up at
Mhm.
Waldorf and run the the Magnum PI and 308 GTS.
That's awesome.
Right. But they're not. But that Ferrari is not competitive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So autocross favors a certain crop of cars, and it's not the exotics.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the exotics people, if they come out, they're not necessarily going to be any faster.
I did see a McLaren at Nationals last year. That was so awesome looking.
Yeah.
One. I saw one.
Yeah. There's Aston Martin. There's an
Aston
Aston Martin that I ran. Yeah.
Oh,
I
nice.
know the owner of Aston Martin.
Nice.
Yeah. And then
Nice.
the McLaren, I don't quite know that McLaren's owner, but
Do you know which one I'm talking about?
yeah.
It's nice.
So Andy Hollis used to, I think when he has his 540, was it 540? No, the lower price, 560 or 540.
Oh, he was in the McLaren as well?
Yeah. So
Nice.
he has a 720S now.
Oh, wow.
I haven't seen the 720S in autocrosses. I have seen them at one lab of American autocrosses.
Mhm. Nice.
And he's fast, right? It's all driver. When you
Yep.
think
I
about
was gonna say he's fast in anything. That doesn't count.
it. Yeah. That's all driver. Yeah. So my 5 cars, I'll go over that list again.
Yes,
right?
let's go over your 5.
MR2 Spider,
Mm-hmm.
right? 10 Gen Civic Si,
Yep.
Indy Miata,
Yep.
Supra, Cayman GTS.
That's a good list.
718. Yeah,
That's a good
those are
list.
my 5.
I'm gonna go over my 5. What did I have? I had EG Civic, Evo, GT86, Supra, and GTR.
All right. Okay. So now you have sort of our take, the fastest, or autocross cars for
Just
most
good
people.
cars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cars.
And of course, your selection will be completely different because you guys are the one that's paying,
That's true.
right? The money's not coming out of my pocket.
And there's a lot of great cars we didn't even mention or talk about, right? Like there's so many really good cars, front-wheel drive cars, rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive.
I think like if anything, I still pick those cars based on a specific SCCA rules.
Yeah.
Right. I definitely pick those cars that are competitive within SCCA, which are fast in just about any other organization. Right. But SCCA rule plays, in my selection and with a big factor.
Sure.
Right. Those are usually the leading cars in those classes in 5 different price ranges. That's how I came up with my rationale.
Mine did not take SCCA classing specifically into account. It just took autocrossing into account and fun.
Yeah. So if you're really considering a car for autocrossing, these are all pretty decent and great cars to run. And there are plenty of us that runs those cars. So if you want to leverage or find out some information or how to set them up and all that stuff, there's plenty of resources within our area, within the DMV area, that you can find out more information from. And actually, if you show up at the race, you get to see all these cars running anyway. So
I think the best way to do it, Danny, is to show up to the race and find that car and talk to the owner, right?
Yeah.
That's the number one way. The number 2 way is posting about it in the DMV Autocross Facebook group. I know there's a lot of people ready to help in that group all day and all night. I saw someone replying to comment in the middle of the night. Like, people aren't sleeping. They're staying awake just to message in the DMV Autocross Facebook group.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of information resources now with that. That's a best way to leverage them.
Yeah.
All right. So that wrap up our 14th episode of the DMV Autocross Podcast. And thank you for spending the last, hour with us. And we again hope you find this informative and fun.
And don't forget to join us for the next episode. And until then, keep those tires on the track and that wing in the back.
Yep. See you next one.
See ya. All right. And now it's time for one of my favorite segments, Ask Uncle Danny. Danny, Uncle Danny, we have a fantastically delicious question for you today. We're back to food, baby.
All right.
This time, it's a little bit different, okay? Say we go to an autocross, we're having a
best time of our life with really good friends, really good people. We're having a blast with BMW and Mercedes and SCCA and all of the clubs in our region. After the day is over and we had the 4 best runs of our life, or 5 or 6 or whatever, we're hungry. All right, Danny, I'm hungry. You're hungry.
I'm always hungry.
And we need to get, like, this is the best part of all, after you're done the long day, getting together for a food. But say I don't know where to get some food, right? Uncle Danny, help me out. Autocross food, what to bring to autocross to eat, where to eat after autocross, everything. Just give it to me all.
All right. Okay. I'm actually, well, I do want to say I am an expert in this.
We are experts.
I mean, look, I don't, I've been autocrossing for almost 20 years.
And you've been eating for longer.
I may say I know some about cars. I may say I know some about autocrossing. Mm-hmm. I know the most about food, trust me. Because that's the first thing I would look for, right? Okay.
Yes, let's go.
So I think in order to make it like productive, right, we need to talk about breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay, let's start in the morning. Let's start first thing in the morning. What do we?
So in the morning, it's actually very organization dependent.
Okay.
Right.
Sure.
So if we only talk about morning, food, right,
yeah.
I would not register in any other organization except PCA Potomac.
PCA Potomac.
PCA Potomac is my number one.
My
club,
number one.
Right. Because they give you breakfast. I'm talking about you get bagels, you get donuts,
they had
you
2 donuts. They had 2 donuts and they were the best 2 different flavors. So many donuts.
That's right. You can make yourself an Arnold Palmer. It's ridiculous. Right. And then they, so PCA Potomac is the number one group to go with if breakfast is your number one consideration, right?
So tasty.
Okay. So number 2 will be the Mercedes group, right? Mercedes sometimes, or especially lately, they will put nice donuts out there.
The best.
Next to the registration, right? So you can show up, steal a donut and go for a course walk. And when you come back for your second course walk, you steal another one. All right.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
So that's my second favorite group by breakfast, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then the rest of the clubs, like the next one will be the NCC BMW group.
Okay.
So when you go there, they do have donuts, but it's for their own work, the folks that work. But you know what? When they're not looking, you can also steal another one.
Oh, I like that. That's
right?
thinking ahead.
So it's that breakfast is not very consistent, right?
Yeah,
and
it
then
depends on if they're watching you. Yeah,
that's right. So unfortunately, BMC and then WDCR, SCCA,
yeah,
no food, right?
2 thumbs down when it comes to breakfast.
So what you have to do is you gotta basically fend for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I would say breakfast wise, if you have the McDonald's app, right? If you're driving on the Maryland side and then happen to go to Summit Point, a good place to stop by is probably, like Knoxville, right? This is the couple exits right before the bridge go over Harper's Ferry.
Yep.
There's a Sheetz, and directly across the street, there's a McDonald's. You can get McDonald's and fill up your gas and go, right?
Yep.
Or actually, like a lot of people make their own breakfast and then take it with them to make a breakfast lunch, right?
That's what like most normal people do, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I do that sometimes, but I would say one. I do. I'll tell you, one way to make a good breakfast is, go to like Safeway or something, get a croissant, right?
Yeah.
And you can get some ham or whatever.
Okay.
And then basically croissant, ham, American cheese, and you do a scrambled eggs and put it together.
Are you making a Burger King breakfast sandwich? That's literally what they have. Oh my goodness.
It's good, right?
Yeah,
or
it's good.
I a lot of times, I'll be honest, I stop by Burger King and I ask for some zesty sauce for my little hash brown dipping thing. Right. So yeah, that would be my breakfast.
Okay.
Right. So breakfast, PCA Potomac, number 1 there. Everything else you have to fend for yourself. Oh, Potomac, and then a Mercedes, sometimes you get free ones. Okay. Now, lunchtime. Lunch gets a little bit more complicated, but not by number 1 club for lunch is also PCA Potomac because they give you lunch.
Oh my God, I love
it.
Right.
The lunch is always from Railside, but now they have expanded their selections. So they have like 5 or 6 different, cold cut sandwiches.
Yeah.
Right. Or you can get salad now on top of it. They also give you a bag of chips of your choice, and they also give you a can of drinks of your choice.
Yeah.
And that's all included in the registration.
Mhm.
right? So you get breakfast and lunch included in the registration. I don't know how you can beat that.
You can't beat that.
No, you can't beat that,
You
right?
can't beat that.
And the rest of the clubs, it's kind of scattered, right? So the clubs I run in Summit Point, which is Mercedes, the PCA, of course, the food's covered. SCCA doesn't run there at Summit Point. So the one that runs at Summit Point right now is BMW, and then
You're right.
Club, right?
Yeah.
So it gets a little tricky because BMW clubs actually has a lunch break, and then Mercedes doesn't have a lunch break. They run continuously. Right. So you can only use the heat that you're not running and go on and grab some stuff. So your options there is really not that much. I mean, you have Railside, which is right outside of, a Summit Point
Outside
gate,
the
right?
gate, yeah.
So you come out of the gate, you turn right, and about half a mile down on the left-hand side, that's where Railside is. They have decent sandwiches and stuff, but if you order a pizza, you might have to wait for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. So if you do that, then you won't have time. But by the time you get your pizza and then you can't eat it, you got to go right back to the race again. So that's probably not a good idea, but you can get stuff from Railside, and then within Summit Point, and there's a quick lunch place over by basically on Main Summit Point, basically right next to the shop, right? Yeah. The modified shop. And then, or at Shenandoah, there's also another lunch place that you can go in. I think between the two, to be honest, I like the one by Main, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Because the other one, the food, I didn't like their hamburgers or cheeseburgers or, their barbecues. I just don't like them, right? Yeah. Main food seems to taste a little bit better.
Yeah, so, I actually agree with that.
Yeah, but those are your choices. You don't really have that many, different choices there. If you really boogie, you can go out to that brand new Sheets that's opened.
Yeah, but you got to boogie. That's it.
Yeah. Well, it's about 15 minutes to kind of get to the Sheets.
Yeah.
Right. So you can go there and grab that and then go back. This is now autocross, but if you go to Dominion, there's a Sheets right next to Dominion. Yes. That's significantly more convenient.
Correct.
Right. But not this other one. Yeah. So at some point, maybe pack a lunch. Yep. That's probably the best idea if you can pack a lunch. Yeah. So for WDCR events, right? They're at Waldorf. There's actually not that easy to grab lunch there either.
It's almost like you got to pack a lunch for. I think packing is the best answer in general for autocross.
Yes.
So you could stay there and hang with your friends.
Right.
But that's a different topic.
Yeah. So for me, I actually very rarely pack a lunch, right? And it's because I have the intention of eat a bigger dinner afterwards.
I can't wait till we get to that part. That's
right.
That's my exciting part.
Yeah. So usually, like for me, I just kind of bunch off and say, hey, you have any some chips or something? I just, or if Alan's there, I go over there and try to grab like some chocolate or Oreos or something like that. Right. In the office, like private stash.
Yes.
Right. Just kind of buy me over so I can have dinner.
Exactly.
Now, so it's hard to grab lunch at Waldorf. So bring your own stuff. Bowie, when you drive right out of the stadium, there's a Chick-fil-A there. Right.
Yep.
But the line is so long that, and then they run 3 heats. So you do have a heat in break, but sometimes they would just run 2 heats and then get it done. So you won't have time to eat anyway. So pack a lunch, another at Chesapeake PCA events, basically pack a lunch is probably a better idea too. And then for the only other non-BMC, right?
Ripken, yeah.
Yeah, at Ripken, right? So at Ripken, you can come out, there's a Royal Farms there. And of course, I guess you can get a Royal Farms chicken right next to it. I've never tried it, but I don't know if but that's the closest to the stadium. Otherwise, you can come out, there's also Chick-fil-A and across the street, there's McDonald's.
If you go left
come out
for
left.
A while.
Yeah, turn left past the highway.
Past the highway, past the light, then there's like McDonald's and Burger King too.
That's right. On the left-hand side, there's McDonald's. On the right-hand side is a Chick-fil-A. And then we can talk about it for dinner, right? Because those are the same kind of a selection there. So BMC, that's your food choice, right? So that covers lunch, right? And now let's talk about after the race.
Yes.
That's when you get stuff.
Yes.
Right? And then now you have all kinds of different selections and to eat, right? So, and to me, of course, some people finish the race and they got to hurry, go home and go to families and stuff, right? But I do think that me personally, I really enjoy after race and go have, dinner with friends.
Yep.
Right. And that's the time that you either, brag about how good you did or complain about how bad you did.
It was a Miata course.
That's right. Yeah. Everything's a Miata course, right? Or, that's or like Marcus Pine would say, that's a power course. And
that's a power course.
right. Yeah. So actually, like let's just set this thing straight. Every course is built for fast drivers. It's a
Yes.
fast driver course,
Yes.
right? And then cars, it doesn't really matter. And sometimes you brought there's certain course that definitely favors certain type of cars,
Yeah.
right? If you bought a wrong car, it is what it is, right? I mean, that doesn't change anything. But regardless, food is more important anyway, right? So let's go over some of the dinner things that you can have. And then how you find dinner buddies, it's another story, right? I'm your dinner buddy, so I'm usually going to go to dinner. So Al Pacheco is my dinner buddy.
Oh, I love
right?
it.
And then now Patrick, when we're at Summit Point, he's my dinner buddy.
Oh, baby.
Howard Lincoln will go to dinner with us. And then sometimes we'll grab different people or whatever. Every time we ask Dustin Grubbs, he says no. Right?
We got him once. We got him once. We got
one time. Yeah, one time. Yeah, I think went there one time, right? Yep. And then Brian Carwin's always bailed on us, right?
He leaves before the events.
I know. Yeah,
I've never seen anyone leave that fast.
Party pooper, right?
Yeah, just the worst.
So the thing is like if Ad is there, I'm there. We'll definitely go eat somewhere. And sometimes you bail too. I'm the only person that never bail.
I have 100 kids. Sometimes I gotta bail.
Well, that's true. That's true. He's got to bring milk back for kids, right? But the thing is so these are my choices or selections when we're after the race dinner, right? So let's go from any groups that runs at Summit Point.
Okay. Yes.
Right.
Let's go there.
I don't go to dinners at Summit Point cafeteria. I don't eat dinner at the rail side, right? I don't eat it at Sheets unless nobody wants to go with me.
Oh.
Right. And I usually go there and grab maybe a quesadilla or get some, chicken nuggets and go home. And then I complain to my wife that I haven't eaten anything. Right. So that I eat again. Right. There are a few places that you can eat. They're all in Charlestown. Right.
Love it. Yep.
So number one place I would go is this Mediterranean place called Alfredo's.
Best place.
Alfredo's cool.
Yes.
So Alfredo's, what you do is you drive Summit Point, just come out Summit Point, roll all the way into Charlestown.
Yep.
And then once you pass the downtown and just past the casino, on the left-hand side, there is a motel called Roadway Inn. Right. And then Alfredo's is attached to Roadway Inn. Right. And then you go in there and then they have all kinds of food. It's not just Mediterranean.
So
when they say Mediterranean, like when Brian Garfield told me about this place, when he says Mediterranean, I was thinking, okay, Mediterranean, kebabs, I was thinking that.
They got
everything. But no, what he means is the Mediterranean Sea. There are a bunch of countries that surrounds it, right? And then the country that surrounds the Mediterranean Sea are like Italy.
Well, there's two continents, right?
That's right.
There's literally
part of Asia,
Europe, Asia on there.
So it covers a lot of stuff. It has like Turkish food.
Yeah.
It has Turkish food. It has Middle Eastern food.
So good.
It has Greek food.
Everything.
Right. It has everything. And it has French food.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know if France is part of Mediterranean Sea.
It's so good.
But
it is. That's Nice, Monaco.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
So anyway, it's that region that all the food around that region.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't do wrong. I mean, you get their French onion soup is awesome. Their crab bisque is great. I mean, everything is good there. So that would be my sort of a number one choice. That's the kind of place that we go to all the time. And then, one added bonus is if you got a heat stroke like I did, right? After I ate and I still couldn't stand up, and Roadway Inn's right next door. So you just walk in Roadway Inn and say, I'm sorry, can I get a room?
I only want it for a couple hours.
I don't want a couple hours until I can go again, right? So anyway, so Alfredo's, plenty of parking. It's good.
Yeah.
And then I would say less than half a mile down the right-hand side, right, are the two places I would recommend. One is called the Mezzalunas, right, which is Italian food, right? And that Italian place is fantastic. All the food and all that stuff is awesome. Good Italian food, larger portion, right? And then they get busy in a hurry. But you know what? After the race, it's usually 4:00.
Yeah.
Right. So you're getting there before the dinner rush.
Before the big rush. Yep.
Yeah. Before the big rush. But if you get there at 6:00, then, a lot of tables are taken. Right. Yeah. So there's that. And then there's a place right next door, which is a Mexican restaurant. And I can never remember the name. Right. But that Mexican restaurant, next to Mezzalunas, is actually run by the same owner.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right. I think the owner just sits in the back, and then depends on which food that they want to make. They either go left or go right or something like that.
That's so
right?
good.
But they're, believe it or not, their chicken and rice soup is delicious.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
And then that's like Carmen's Best Mexican Restaurant. So that's a good place. Every time you go there, it's always packed. Doesn't matter if it's 4 o'clock.
Good.
Right. So that's a good place. And then if we move a little further down, right?
Yeah.
And there's our White Horse Tavern on the right hand side on the top of the hill. Like that's also attached to maybe like a Days Inn or something like that.
Yeah. It's also attached to a
Right.
hotel. Yep.
So that place used to be really, really good, but lately it's sort of a hit and miss.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm going to be very honest. Right.
Yep.
So that used to be my go-to place. I go there and I have a lot of good food, a lot of appetizers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then lately it's a lot of hit and miss.
Yeah.
Right.
Still worth trying though.
It's worth trying. Yeah. And of course, Ada's favorite, right?
Oh,
is Long John Silver's on the left-hand side after we pass.
All these other places I've been to because I was dragged there, but let me tell you, there's magic happening in that Long John Silver's by summer.
Well, I'll tell you, Long John Silver is so good that right now I think the building's condemned because the food is so bad.
Listen, a couple rats never ruined flavor, okay? They're just doing their own thing, all right? Leave them alone. I don't know why they're shutting down this really good place because of a couple of animals. It doesn't make sense, but whatever.
I mean, like last time I went to Long John Silver, I see fried rats up there.
But they're tasty, okay? They're tasty. I don't know why everyone's all up in arms over health, cleanliness, all right? You're frying the food.
That's right.
Everything, all the bacteria dies when they fry it anyway, so it's always good.
I don't know. Tasty. I think plague can handle, like quite a few thousand degrees of heat.
I'm still alive.
So anyway, so Ada's favorite restaurant in Charlestown right now is temporarily closed. I don't know what's up there.
I think they'll open in a few weeks. Usually they do. It's a cycle they do.
I don't know. I mean, at first when it was closed, I looked for like burn marks on the top of the building, maybe caught fire or something. No. I think they just closed it because like, I don't know, for sanitary reasons.
I think the health inspector just rolled through again. He's such a jerk. But anyways.
Well, sometimes it might come back strong without odor. We'll see.
The place is so good though. It's so good. The shrimp.
Okay, so I think that's our summit point selection, right?
Summit point, yeah.
And so just forewarn everybody, we're only picking 4 different locations, right? Yep. Okay. So the next place we're gonna use is Waldorf, Maryland, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where WDCR runs at Waldorf. It runs at the Regency Furniture Stadium, right?
Yep.
Okay. So when you come out of Waldorf, right? Actually, most people will go down 301. So the area you drive through downtown Waldorf. So here are some of the selections at downtown Waldorf that I would recommend, right? Mm-hmm. So for something cheap and fast, right? Raising Cane's just open.
That's Choi's favorite place in the world.
That's Choi's favorite place, right? And then that's dry chicken, right? So you got dry chicken. Dry. But dry chicken at Waldorf is actually pretty close, right? So a lot of for a while when we come out of Waldorf, I go to Chipotle's.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so Chipotle's is on the right-hand side when you go home, and Raising Cane's is on the left-hand side when you go home, which is not too far from the stadium. Yeah. And of course, if you want to pick Chick-fil-A, there's like millions of Chick-fil-A.
There's like 4 of them, right?
3 or 4 over there are ridiculous, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I can't believe that. I mean, I don't know if it's that much pleasure, but it's tons of my pleasure.
Well, it's funny because if they have it on the Sunday, all 4 of them are closed. That's
right. Why can one of them belong to a different religion?
Well, just one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like just one different religion. Why is it so difficult, right? All right. So anyway, when one Chick-fil-A closes, all Chick-fil-A closes, right? On Sunday, close, and that's when we race. So I guess we just get out of Chick-fil-A.
Every once in a while, I feel like there's a Saturday race.
Yeah. So unfortunately, then Raising Cane became the best chicken place at Waldorf, right?
Default.
Yeah. Okay. So Five Guys is there. I think Five Guys, you turn left and go towards La Plata. There's Five Guys over there, which is also pretty good. I've been there once. Right. And then there are a couple different places I want to recommend. There used to be a barbecue place pretty close to the stadium, but it's no longer a barbecue place. Now it's like a hibachi place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've never been to a hibachi place. So I can't recommend that. So the 2 places I would recommend is there's a hamburger joint called the Foster's. Mm-hmm. Right? It's really, really good. I mean, you go there and you write down exactly what you're on a piece of paper, similar to the old school Fuddruckers, right?
Oh, nice.
You just write them down what you want, right? Fuddrucker
doesn't
even do anymore, but Foster's does. You go in there and says, okay, I want this hamburger, I want all these things. Mm-hmm. And then you turn it to them. And then they have awesome milkshake, great, chip, fries and stuff like that. So nice. Foster's is a good place to visit. Right. It's also not too far off the main road. Right. Mm-hmm. And then there's a couple other places, and there's a place called Fire Pan Barbecue. A Korean barbecue. That's a Korean barbecue place that we go over there.
Okay.
Right.
Fire
So that will be Waldorf.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Now, if we talk about Bowie,
Mhm.
right? Bowie's got a lot of stuff, around, surrounding area, but for some strange reason, for me to go place, it's either Chick-fil-A over there,
Mhm.
which is right next to the stadium,
Mhm.
or just a place called Rips right
Yes.
next to Chick-fil-A, right? So Rips, especially when we're done, that's before the crowd shows up, and then the place is pretty full.
Yep.
Usually pretty full, but when we go, there's really, few, less people there,
Yeah.
right? And then that's also a place that seems like a go-to place that every time when we race, there's always 10, 15, 20 of us, believe it or not,
That's awesome.
who end up going. So the very last Chesapeake race, which was this last weekend, we have 18 people showed up.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So basically I went over there and say, well, I need a table for 15,
Mhm.
right? And then they give us this room area. They put a
Aw.
table together. And then once we sat down and then 18 people showed up, they just grab every table in the room. They didn't
I
care.
love it.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it works. So Bowie, make sure that if you want to go to dinner, Greg Harkey usually is the ringleader.
Yes.
Right? So Greg Harkey and his wife will take us all the way to Rips. So there's always Rips afterwards on all the
I love
Chesapeake
it.
events. Yeah.
I've been once to the Rips and I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
The
So Rips
company, the food, everything.
Yeah, so Rips is a sort of a default dinner place for a Chesapeake event. All right.
Love it.
And the last one will be Ripken,
Okay.
right? So Ripken's your generic affair, by that area, right?
Yeah.
So you got Chick-fil-A there on the right-hand side. You got Panera a little bit further down the street. So believe it or not, I go to Panera quite a bit when I'm
Okay.
there. I don't go to Panera normally,
Mm.
but every time I go to Ripken, I usually go to Panera.
Okay.
Then there's McDonald's across the street from Chick-fil-A,
Mhm.
right? And then if you go down Chick-fil-A on the right-hand side, I think there is a Taco Bell or a
Yes,
KFC,
There's a Taco Bell
right?
next to the Burger King.
And then across, there's
Yep.
there's a Burger King across the street.
Yeah.
But if you go further down into the next intersection, there's a Rita's ice cream there.
I've never passed that intersection.
Yeah.
I've never once gone past there. So you're saying
Right.
there's more?
There's Rita's there, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I've been to that Rita's.
Okay. Good to
Yeah.
know.
With Brian Carwin and and then who's the other guy? Maybe Noel Leslie. I think
Nice.
I don't know if it was Noel. I know Carwin was there, and then I think Noel was there.
I never have food with Carwin and Noel. They only have like ice cream. I feel like the only snack.
Yeah.
They don't
So
eat
that's
food.
what we had.
That
That's
makes
what we had.
sense. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
I went to Rita's and had Rita's ice cream.
I think that they're ice cream boys. Like,
Yeah. That's all they eat.
yeah, that's all they eat is ice cream.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that would be all of my food recommendations. So this little segment, is how many minutes now? Like 27 minutes of food, right?
But hear me out. This is gonna save people because the last thing you want to do is autocross, hungry, starving, go home sad, not eating dinner. You gotta go
Right.
eat dinner.
Yeah.
If there's one thing we take away from this segment is go have dinner with friends. That's
right.
That's my biggest takeaway.
Yeah. So whenever I get home, my wife always goes, well, like, how's the race?
Yeah.
I said, I'm not sure. The food was pretty good.
Yeah. I had a delicious meal.
Yeah, I know.
I love it.
All right.
All right.
So basically, take home message for this is there's plenty of places to eat, plenty of time to hang out with friends, right? But if you have to hurry and go home or want to pack a
Yeah.
lunch or whatever, that's all fine.
Yeah.
If you want food covered, PCA Potomac, your number one group, right? And then of course, then after that, you have the organized dinner or a hangout,
Yeah.
which is Chesapeake PCA at Rips.
At Rips. That's so much fun.
Yeah. Then every other place, look for me and Al Pacheco.
I love it.
If you want to got something to eat,
I love it.
we'll take you to whatever we go.
That's so good.
All right. Okay. That's all
right.
I have.
Well, thank you, Uncle Danny. And that concludes Ask Uncle Danny.
All right. Okay. We'll see you next one.